Welcome back, gang. Earlier this month, I made, I guess, an announcement, kind of, that I was looking to sell off my sealed collection. And so I thought it would be kind of cool as some content to kind of like month by month kind of see the progress, what I've sold, and basically how far we've gotten in this journey. At the end, I will kind of reveal like what the biggest dollar amount in collector was essentially, which it's not going to be exactly accurate because I have some sports stuff that I'm going to be selling in like 2 weeks. That's going to be a big chunk. I have some stuff that I never loaded into collector at the time I took my screenshot of the peak. So yeah, it's going to be a little off, so nothing's perfect. So bear with me in that regard. So while I technically started selling some of my sealed collection in March, I wasn't really doing it very seriously, and I technically started seriously selling at the start of May when I made that announcement. That's why this is part 1 and not part 3. So similar to my Pokemon business update videos, I thought it would be pretty cool to kind of track the progress and take it month by month. I'm thinking most of these are probably going to end up being like shorts and reels because in reality, there's probably not going to be a whole lot to talk about, and I could probably get it cranked out in about 2 to 3 minutes, which is the length for a reel or short. I want to also set it straight that I'm not selling everything. I'm not selling out. The business will still have inventory and such, and whatever I can't sell off-site will eventually make its way to the site. And I don't want to sell everything. There's some items that I'm just not gonna sell. That's like Evolving Skies, booster boxes, PCTBs, probably ETBs. I don't really want to sell all my Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates is a goated set. It was just printed to Oblivion. I don't really want to sell all of my 151. I'm probably gonna keep my PCTB cases. I'll probably keep like PCTBs as a part of my sealed collection, display piece, etc. And then I also don't really want to sell like my PC ETB promos that I have in PSA 10s. I still need the Tornadus, but some stuff like that. So I'll probably end up keeping a decently high figure of sealed stuff and some slabs. But for the most part, other than that, I would be looking to sell a large majority of everything else. So I guess kind of get us caught up real fast. Like I said, I didn't mark exactly what items I sold. Starting in May, I started kind of doing that. At first I didn't, but then I was like, hey, great idea for content, obviously. So in March, we sold a total of $1,985. In April, again, didn't track in April. All I sold was $2,175 worth of stuff. So that makes the house fund starting in May at a total of $1,460. So that's what we started at the start of May. And again, I didn't track, whether it was a booster box or, an Ogerpon collection box or a booster bundle or whatever it may be. I didn't do none of that. So I basically couldn't make any content on it because I didn't have really much to say. So now in May, like I said earlier, I started noting some stuff. So some of the first things I sold, the first week I didn't keep track of what it was. So it's just like miscellaneous stuff, whatever. Then I sold a Twilight Masquerade booster box for $340. I believe that's like $370 right now. A Surging Sparks ETB for $115. And I traded some Magic the Gathering collector booster boxes, Edge of Eternities and Modern Horizons 3 to be exact, for some sealed Chaos Rising pre-release essentially. And the reason I did that was because a local shop to me is more known for Magic, and lo and behold, I can't move Magic worth a shit. Like, I don't know if it's just Magic players or the Magic community or what it is, but man, they really like to lowball you for everything. It's either they just don't message you, they don't have any interest, or it's just constant lowballs. So I couldn't even sell them for 80 to 90% locally, or I could sell them for 85% on TCG Player, no problem, but I really didn't want to do that. I was trying and I was hoping, I could get them 90%, move them either on Facebook, Discord, whatever, and just literally I could not. It was literally impossible to sell these at 90%. And it doesn't make sense because it's a collector booster box. Like, this is more rare than Pokemon booster boxes. It's probably equivalent to like a Pokemon PC ETB in terms of rarity. Now, demand-wise, that's another story, and they also cost way more. I mean, Modern Horizons 3 was like a $500 booster box on release, I think, and that was like MSRP. Edge of Eternities, I think, is like a $300 or $350 MSRP. I don't know. MSRP for Magic the Gathering confuses me. Nobody really understands it. I thought it was a good idea. I'll trade these booster boxes or collector booster boxes to a local shop. I'll get Pokemon. I'm more known for Pokemon, especially in my local community. And obviously online, I'm more known for Pokemon. So I was like, I should be able to flip these pretty easily. And essentially I get my money out of them. So I ended up trading the EOE Edge of Eternities MH3 Modern Horizons 3 collector booster boxes for 5 Chaos Rising booster boxes, 1 ETB, and 1 bundle. And I ended up selling those for a total of $1,350. I also sold my Chaos Rising booster box and my Chaos Rising ETB for another $320. So added that to the fun. So at this point, between the Chaos Rising and the mentioned and the miscellaneous that I never tracked, I am at $6,595 sold, added to the house fund. But wait, there's more. There's a big hitter that really made this month a good month. I sold a Fusion Strike booster box for $1,050. I sold a creased Fusion Strike booster box for $960. And then I sold 100 loose packs of Fusion Strike at $18 a pack for a total of $3,825 shipped. And then about a week after that, I sold another Fusion Strike booster box for $1,100. So yeah, Fusion Strike really, really paid off well, considering I got all of those at MSRP roughly. Those loose packs I bought because of Fusion, or not because of Fusion Strike, that's for sure. I bought because of Evolving Skies was in the same collection box or it was in the same tin, and I broke them all down. And I think it was close to like 200 Fusion Strike packs, and I did not want the Fusion Strike. I only wanted the Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies was selling for like $10 or $12 or $15 on its own when I was buying all of these, and the Fusion Strike was just like icing on the cake, essentially. So I was getting, $20 pack value for like 10 bucks. You can't beat that. Or, whatever it may be. Fusion Strike was just icing on the cake. The cake itself was Evolving Skies. And that's the only reason I bought all those tins, collection boxes, whatever you want to call it. That's really it. Fusion Strike was just extra. So that was awesome. I was like, loose packs really aren't that great. They're hard to move. And this guy said, he said he would take them all. Truth be told, I don't know exactly how many I had. I put it in collector that I had like 160 of them, so I only wanted to sell 100 of them. I'll keep the other 50, Who knows, maybe it takes a big leg up later this year like everybody thinks everybody thinks Sword and Shield is going to do. Everybody seems to think Sword and Shield is going to start rocketing to the moon again, and maybe it does, and maybe I missed it on those big gains, but I'd rather start selling into the strength than selling into weakness, essentially. My total sold for Fusion Strike alone this month was $4,925. But then I just bought another booster box back again because I think I could flip it and I could probably make, 10, 15, maybe 20% depending how I sell it. If I end up just flipping it on TCG Player, I'll make a very small amount just because of fees and everything. But it just kind of depends if somebody bites on it locally or not. Hopefully they do. I hate selling stuff on TCG Player as much as possible, but if I have to, I'm not afraid to do it. I am looking to sell that ASAP, so if you're interested, hit me up in the DMs, hit me up on Instagram or Discord. So the total of sales in the month of May for Pokemon Buying Me a House is $11,520. That is out of this world good for me. I've never sold that much in a month in my life. Awesome. But the total between March, April, and May is now up to $15,680. Not bad for 3 months deep. Obviously, there's a lot more work to be done. There's a whole lot of things that still need to be sold, a whole lot of capital that still needs to be raised. You're not really getting much of anything for $15,000, especially living situation-wise. But that's awesome, great, solid progress. And I'm sure, when my girlfriend watches this video and my mom watches the video, they'll both smile to their ears, grinning, be like, hey, that's pretty cool, that's awesome. And it honestly made me smile when I was doing the math and looking through the spreadsheet and all sorts of stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's awesome. I've already raised $15,000 in 3 months. I truthfully did not expect it to be that much, but there's a lot to still go through. And I can't guarantee that every month will be this good, obviously. And I can't guarantee that every month won't be March or April where it's like $1,000 or $2,000. You know, any progress is good progress in this regard, because to be fair, I really wasn't taking it seriously, and I really didn't think that, you know, strongly about it until the beginning of this month. When I made the video, I was like, hey, I should probably really commit to doing this. It makes more sense, you know, a house would be worth more to me long-term than a majority of my Pokemon investments or sealed collection. Again, every month won't be this great. A ton of people have already ghosted me. You know, we've made plans to sell something, and then it's like time to pay me and I'm ghosted. Or it's like time to meet up and they never respond again. Ghosted. So, you know, that's just the nature of dealing through local meetups, local deals, and stuff like that. Because obviously I'm not trying to put high dollar items on my shop to essentially try to scam myself. That's basically the last thing I want to do. I would like to avoid scams and stuff as much as possible. I prefer doing local meetups, and then, you know, now I'm more known in my local community. Now I'm essentially advertising myself to, I don't want to say whales, but higher dollar figures, people that can, you know, they can spend more essentially, which I've never exposed myself to before. So now I'm getting that type of exposure in my local market. People will know who I am, who have, you know, essentially a bigger pocketbook. That's basically the easiest way to say it. So I think long term that helps me even more. But the constant ghosting and lowballing I get is extremely annoying, and it wastes a ton of time. Thankfully, you know, I have a good amount of downtime. Probably shouldn't admit that, but yeah, it's true. I do have a good amount of downtime at times. Let me know in the comments if you like this type of video, so, you know, I get some encouragement to do it again next month. I've really enjoyed the process. This is kind of fun, you know, documenting it as I do sales and stuff like that. And I have a ton of pictures of, you know, sealed cases, open cases, random products, all sorts of stuff. But I've enjoyed the process. It's super time consuming, like I said earlier, with people ghosting you, you know, getting through the whole process, send them all these pictures and everything, and then they ghost you right before they're supposed to send the payment. And I'm like, bro, come on, are we really doing this? And then, you know, you message them back the next day or 2 days later, and it's like, nothing, ghosted, or they leave you on red, or you just deal with a bunch of people lowballing you, trying to, you know, get stuff for a steal, and it's like, bro, come on. If I have this type of stuff, you know better. You know better that I'm not gonna sell it to you for 70% or 80%. You know better. As I mentioned earlier, I'd reckon these probably aren't gonna be this long of a video. I'm not gonna explain myself in future videos. I'm just gonna get to the point, essentially. And remember, there's helpful links in the description of the video. Buy my Pokemon cards at maxpacks.com. Help me buy a house and join the Discord. It's free. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Max Packs signing out.